Yeah, the team camaraderie is great.
Like no matter if they're doing an ultra or, you know, when I was doing 1500s on the track, everyone is just equally excited for all those results.
As I started running with more people on SRA and was exposed to different types of workouts, it really helped a lot, honestly.
Like great training partners, great competition opportunities.
I noticed that.
Like we have masters runners who are setting age group world records.
Work your magic, Mark. Work your magic, come on.
Are you going 6:30?
So inspirational.
6:30. What am I going?
6:30.
You know what?
No.
To hell with all of you.
See, now you know how I feel.
Who do you think I am? Jen Hitchings? Okay, we're going to start at the little man. Let's go.
This is a group of SRA's runners that met up for a Friday morning workout out here at the notorious American River Parkway, which, if you aren't familiar, is Sacramento's supreme spot for distance running of all types. Today, the group had a few different workouts going on, all mostly some version of threshold or fartlek work, but right now you can see them all headed on their warm-up together.
I really like the low pressure of this post-collegiate team, but at the same time people are really serious about still hitting their competitive goals, and people really encourage a lot of racing too, which is fun because I feel like in college you only get a few opportunities to race, but like every week people on the team will say, oh, who's doing this race? Like, you gotta go do this race, like come on, just go do it. So that's been really fun. It's super cool that, you know, like I can do my workouts with excellent masters runners, and I don't know, it's really motivating to me to be like, wow, I want to be like that when I'm a masters runner. So honestly, it's just like super supportive, and it just validates, I think, me wanting to continue competitive racing for a long time, just seeing people who have been doing this for a lot longer than I have.
When I moved to Davis, some friends were signing up for a trail race and got me to do that with them, and then did that for a couple years. And then here in Davis met someone who's on the SRA team, and CIM a couple years ago, I ended up running almost the whole thing with one of the SRA women, and at the finish line, you know, she was getting hugs from all her teammates, and I thought, wow, that could be me, and this could be my team. And so I joined SRA the following February.
What do you think your favorite part of running for the SRA program is?
Oh yeah, there's so much support, and I think it's funny because like I'm doing trails a lot of the year and a lot of the team does roads, and so we don't necessarily do workouts together or see each other that much, but even then there's still the support of texts, and if I hop into one of the road workouts or something like that.
Here you can see another group of runners during the Friday workout that broke off to do their session together. And obviously there's a mix of masters athletes and younger ones, but you can really see how they're working together and that age doesn't discriminate because everyone on SRA Elite is shooting for competitive goals. And so I think it's really powerful that they can all come together to achieve their own training and success because this team truly can be a destination for, the fresh out of college post-grads like Jilly or the masters runners that are setting age group world records.
So since graduating college, you've been able to drop your PR, particularly in the 5K. You went from 16:23 down to 16:14 so far.
I think my biggest accomplishment this past year, my first year with SRA, definitely was dropping 9 seconds in my 5K on the track. I honestly did not expect that. I wasn't even sure if I was going to touch the 5K on the track again my first year out of college, just because I thought I wanted some separation from my college times, and I didn't want to put pressure on PRing, but I was really happy with that big drop in time, and I felt like I had it coming for a long time, but it just wasn't really, I wasn't expecting to do that my first year after college. And I also PR'd in the 1500, which is definitely not my main event. So it was really fun to just get that time down. I am debuting in the marathon in December at CIM, but I do not want to just become a marathon runner. I want to try out the distance and have a goal in the next few years to get an Olympic trials time. But I also really feel like I'm not done on the track, so I want to continue to keep my speed work up, and yeah, I do want to try and break 16 in the 5K, drop my 15 more. So yeah, I'm going to do a hybrid marathon track approach.
So since graduating college, I just wanted to keep running because it's hard to sort of go cold turkey with running. Didn't compete in a lot of events or a lot of races really for a few years, but we went and actually watched. We were down in Los Angeles for grad school, and we saw the 2016 Olympic marathon trials. And it just sort of inspired me to train a little bit more seriously. I wanted to qualify for the 2020 marathon trials, which I was able to do by 1 second, I think. And then since then, I've just been, continuing to do marathons. But I also like doing cross-country races because, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I've been running, on the cross-country circuit with SRA now for a couple years. And last year we had a lot of really good runners on SRA come out, and we placed really well as a team, higher than we normally do.
Yeah, I think my favorite SRA memory is kind of all of last year's cross-country season. So starting out, my first race with them, and we had a barbecue afterwards, and I got to meet a bunch of the team, kind of seeing the team come together over the course of the fall, and then right around CIM, which was my target race for the fall, we also had the regional champs at Golden Gate Park, and kind of seeing the level of competition at regionals and how the team really stepped up there was really fun.
So I'd say my biggest accomplishment with SRA definitely is qualifying for the trials twice in the marathon, so in 2020 and then for the upcoming race in Orlando in 2024. Again, was training with a lot of the SRA people, sort of bandaging their workouts, or they were coming and helping me out with mine. So it really was a group effort.
So I always knew I wanted to run post-collegiately. I think running has been a part of my life for more than it hasn't been a part of my life. I just wasn't sure at what level I'd be able to continue it, but I was so excited with my last season of NCAA running. I was like, I feel like I still have more in the tank, so I really wanted to give competitive racing, continue doing that and not just become a hobby jogger. And SRA is a local team, and they have some great runners, and great people to train with, compete with. So it just seemed like the natural choice.
I think SRA could definitely be a stepping stone for folks who come in out of college, right, and want people to train with, maybe aren't at that level yet, but if they can start running those times, could join a professional team. There's probably a couple of people who would fit that bill right now, like, Jillian has been running very fast and, keeps dropping her times, like, would probably get interest from more, more professional groups.
I think SRA was pretty similar to what I expected when I joined, in terms of there being people mostly focused on roads, some cross country, some track, but everyone kind of comes together for these practices, and I think that aspect of community is what I was looking for when I joined, and what I've found there too. One of the amazing things about 50K training is you need kind of all the gears, and so you can train with people who are training for any distance. You can train with people training for 1500s, you can train with people training for 100 milers, and so you really get the full spectrum of running and every surface, every distance,
I think that's a common misconception, is that like, oh, marathoners, like, they only need to do just long stuff, like the shortest thing you guys will ever do is mile repeats and stuff, but really it's like, they say there's such a correlation between, if you can run 1 mile faster, then it's going to make it easier to run 26 miles, and then even going down from there, what's going to allow you to run a single mile faster is being able to have,
200s and 400s,
a decent 400 time. So it's easy for people who actually have like a pro contract to get put into track races, but for someone who isn't signed with like a pro contract and runs for a like relatively like local program, is it ever a challenge to find like specifically track races to run in? Like, say you're trying to go out and run like a pretty elite time, you want there to be some pretty elite competition. What type of meets do you guys typically dive into?
Yeah, so I think with selecting track meets, it can be a bit challenging with the post-collegiate teams that aren't at the super elite level. But I entered a lot of college invites around here. So like Mike Finelli, I went down to Fresno. I think next year I'll try and get into Stanford invite, especially now that I've got my 5K down. Like SRA has connections too that could help get you in. And I think with like my experience in the NCAA, I kind of know what meets are good meets to shoot for. Like at these other like mainly collegiate meets I've been in, I've just like been thrown into the like normal collegiate heats.
I think SRA is great because there's such a mix of goals and levels and aspirations on the team. Like SRA supports some really high level trail runners, right? Like Cole and Tim, they're competing at the top of the sport at UTMB last week. And then there's also folks who, want to race more locally.
Favorite workout leading up to a marathon?
So definitely over distance long runs. So I'll go out and run 26, 28 miles. This last training cycle, I did a 30-mile run. I just think it helps to let your body know that you can run the 26 miles and you can even run further. A lot of times if you go out on the parkway, you can just kind of like get in the zone where you're clicking off fast miles and just running really far. It puts you in a really great headspace for the marathon.